As we age, common challenges like stiff joints, weak muscles, and low energy can leave us feeling frustrated and helpless. However, the solution often lies not in expensive treatments or extreme measures, but in simple, consistent habits. Helen Peterson's journey highlights the profound impact of small, mindful practices. By incorporating ancient remedies and natural techniques, she was able to reverse muscle weakness, improve circulation, and regain her confidence. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that it's never too late to take charge of your health. Even small, intentional changes in daily habits can lead to transformative results, demonstrating that rejuvenation is possible at any stage of life. The brush massage that awakened her muscles. Helen's first breakthrough came in an unlikely form: a simple brush massage. This seemingly insignificant suggestion came from a trusted friend, a therapist who had witnessed Helen struggle with the daily aches and pains that come with aging. The advice was humble. "Helen, before you dive into intense exercise routines or reach for medications, try a brush massage." At first, Helen was skeptical. How could something as basic as brushing her skin have any impact on the years of accumulated stiffness and discomfort? But there was a flicker of curiosity within her. She had tried so many other things and nothing seemed to work. Perhaps this was worth a try. The instructions were easy enough to follow. All Helen needed was a natural bristle brush, nothing fancy. And the key was to massage her skin in gentle circular motions. The catch: always move the brush strokes toward the heart. It sounded simple enough, but Helen had never thought of such a thing before. As she began incorporating the brush massage into her routine, the first few days felt strange. The sensation of the bristles against her skin was foreign, almost uncomfortable at first, but she pressed on. Each morning she would spend about 5 to 10 minutes brushing from her feet upward, carefully following the recommended strokes. Over time, she began to notice something remarkable. With each brush stroke, her muscles felt more awakened, as though the process was stirring them from their dormant state. Her sluggish circulation began to improve, and she could almost feel the oxygen and nutrients being carried to her muscles. The lymphatic system, which had long been neglected, began to respond, working to flush out toxins and excess waste that had been building up in her body. The science behind the brush massage. While Helen's experience might sound anecdotal, research supports the profound impact of dry brushing and similar practices. A study published in the Journal of Aging Research found that dry exfoliation, like the brush massage Helen used, can increase blood circulation by as much as 25%. Improved circulation enhances the flow of oxygen and nutrients to the muscles, which is essential for muscle regeneration and overall health. In addition to boosting circulation, the act of brushing stimulates the lymphatic system. This system, responsible for removing toxins from the body, often slows down with age, leading to a buildup of waste that can contribute to muscle weakness and fatigue. By stimulating the lymphatic system through gentle brushing, Helen helped her body flush out these toxins, giving her muscles and joints a renewed sense of vitality. Furthermore, research has shown that tactile stimulation, such as the sensation of brushing the skin, can reactivate neuromuscular connections. This is especially important for older adults, whose nerve function and muscle responsiveness often decline over time. The brush massage was not just a surface-level skincare routine for Helen. It was a powerful tool that helped her reconnect with her body and its inherent strength. The strengthening bone broth. While the brush massage had made a remarkable difference in Helen's physical well-being, she knew that true strength could not be achieved through surface-level changes alone. It had to come from within. That's when she remembered a conversation she had with her granddaughter, a young woman studying nutrition. Her granddaughter had shared with Helen an old family secret, a bone broth recipe passed down through generations. At first, Helen didn't think much of it. The idea of making broth seemed too simple, too humble to have any significant impact on her health. But as she thought about it more, she realized that this could be the nourishment her body was craving. Bone broth, after all, was a staple in many cultures for its healing properties. Bone broth is rich in collagen, amino acids, and essential minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. These nutrients are crucial for maintaining healthy joints, muscles, and bones, especially as we age. By incorporating bone broth into her diet, Helen hoped to nourish her body from the inside out, restoring the vitality and strength she had lost over the years. Helen set out to make the broth with love and care. She began by selecting 2 pounds of beef or chicken bones, ideally with plenty of cartilage and marrow. She added a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to help draw out the minerals from the bones, then threw in fresh ginger, garlic, and onion for flavor and healing benefits. A handful of rosemary and parsley added depth and additional healing properties, and she filled the pot with water, ensuring everything was covered. The ancient healing power of bone broth. Bone broth is not a new trend. It's been used for centuries as a remedy for joint pain, muscle weakness, and overall health. It is especially rich in collagen, which is essential for maintaining the elasticity and strength of connective tissues like tendons, ligaments, and muscles. As we age, our bodies produce less collagen, which can lead to stiffness, joint pain, and muscle weakness. By consuming bone broth, Helen was providing her body with the building blocks it needed to heal and regenerate. In addition to collagen, bone broth is packed with minerals that are essential for bone health. Calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus help to strengthen bones and support the body's structural integrity. For someone like Helen, who had experienced the physical toll of aging, these minerals were crucial for maintaining strength and mobility. Furthermore, the amino acids in bone broth, such as glycine and proline, play a vital role in muscle repair and regeneration. These amino acids help the body rebuild muscle tissue, improve joint function, and reduce inflammation, all of which are key to maintaining strength as we age. By integrating bone broth into her daily routine, Helen was not only nourishing her body but also tapping into a time-honored tradition of healing that has been passed down through generations. The broth became more than just a meal. It was a symbol of resilience, a reminder that healing often comes from the simplest of practices. The start of a transformation, Helen's initial struggles. For years, Helen had dealt with the relentless toll of aging. Her muscles had grown weak, her joints stiffened, and a constant fatigue hung over her every movement. Each morning felt like a battle as she struggled to get out of bed and face the day. Simple tasks, walking to the kitchen, standing up from a chair, or bending over to tie her shoes, had become monumental challenges. The weight of time seemed to drag on her, and she longed for relief, not just from the physical pain, but from the emotional burden of feeling helpless and dependent. Helen had already tried several solutions, medications, supplements, and physical therapies, but nothing had brought lasting results. It wasn't until she met a dear friend, an old therapist, that Helen was introduced to an entirely new perspective on recovery. Rather than relying on invasive treatments or expensive solutions, her friend suggested something simple: focus on what her body could do for itself with a little support. The brush massage that awakened her muscles. The first habit Helen embraced was a surprisingly gentle one: brush massages. At first, the idea seemed too simplistic, almost too easy to work. But after years of struggling with tight muscles and sluggish circulation, Helen was open to trying something new. A simple, natural bristle brush and a few minutes of massaging her skin each morning became the starting point of her recovery. Helen learned that the brush massage technique was rooted in the ancient practice of dry brushing, which had been used for centuries to stimulate the skin and lymphatic system. This simple method involved using a natural bristle brush to gently stroke her skin in circular motions, always working towards the heart. Though she was initially skeptical, Helen noticed subtle changes within the first few days of practicing this routine. Her skin felt smoother, and her muscles seemed to reactivate in ways she hadn't experienced in years. At first, the effects were slight. She felt a small flicker of energy, a lightness in her body that had been missing for so long. It wasn't a dramatic change, but it was enough to keep her going. Over time, however, the benefits grew more profound. Her circulation began to improve, sending oxygen and vital nutrients to her muscles. Stiffness in her joints began to dissipate, and even the act of getting out of bed in the morning, which once felt like a monumental effort, became easier. Helen found herself standing taller, moving more fluidly, and feeling more energized overall. The scientific benefits of dry brushing were backed by numerous studies, including research published in the Journal of Aging Research, which found that this practice could increase blood circulation by up to 25%. Improved circulation meant that Helen's muscles received the oxygen and nutrients they desperately needed to heal, while the lymphatic system was stimulated, helping to flush out toxins. In short, the brush massage had not only awakened her muscles, but also helped reset her body's natural rhythms. The strengthening broth that restored her power. While the brush massage had started to awaken her muscles, Helen knew that true healing had to come from the inside as well. The fatigue she still felt, the lingering weakness, made it clear that her body needed more than surface-level care. That's when she recalled a conversation with her granddaughter, who had shared an old family secret: the power of bone broth. Bone broth was an ancient remedy, rich in collagen and packed with essential minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. These nutrients were critical for muscle regeneration and bone health, and the amino acids in the broth were known for their ability to heal tissues and reduce inflammation. Intrigued, Helen decided to give it a try. Helen's granddaughter passed down her family's recipe for bone broth, a simple but powerful concoction that had been a staple in their household for generations. The ingredients were modest: beef or chicken bones, apple cider vinegar, fresh ginger, garlic, onion, rosemary, and parsley. But together, they formed a nourishing, life-restoring elixir. Helen followed the recipe faithfully, placing the bones and ingredients into a large pot, adding water, and allowing the broth to simmer slowly for 12 hours. This patient, long cooking process allowed the nutrients to fully extract from the bones, creating a deeply healing liquid. Deep breathing to regenerate her muscles. Despite the progress Helen had made with her brush massages and bone broth, there was still something missing. She still struggled with deep fatigue and often woke up with heavy limbs, as though her body was not fully recovering. It wasn't until a visit to her doctor that Helen discovered the transformative power of deep breathing. Helen's doctor introduced her to the 4-7-8 breathing technique, a simple yet profound method of controlled breathing that involved inhaling for 4 seconds, holding the breath for 7 seconds, and exhaling for 8 seconds. At first, Helen was skeptical. How could something as simple as breathing make such a difference? But she was open to trying anything that might help her feel better, so she decided to give it a chance. The first time Helen practiced the technique, she felt a sense of calm wash over her. The stillness of the moment, combined with the rhythmic pattern of her breath, created a sense of peace that she hadn't experienced in years. As she continued to practice each morning, she began to notice significant changes. Her energy levels improved, and her muscles felt less fatigued. The deep, controlled breathing helped oxygenate her muscles, speeding up their regeneration and improving her overall vitality. The cane that reactivated her strength. As Helen's body regained strength, she knew that she needed to do more than just nourish and relax her muscles. She had to actively rebuild her physical strength. That's when she began working with a cane, an object she had once considered only as a tool for mobility. Her physiotherapist suggested using the cane to perform a series of gentle exercises that would help Helen rebuild her muscle strength and improve her balance. At first, Helen was hesitant. The cane had always been a symbol of her weakness, not her strength. But as she began incorporating it into her exercises, she realized its true potential. The cane provided stability, allowing her to perform movements she otherwise might have avoided due to fear of falling or injury. Through exercises like front lifts, trunk rotations, and supportive squats, Helen began to feel her muscles waking up again. The cane gave her the support she needed to challenge her muscles without risking injury. As she continued, she found herself becoming stronger and more confident, not just physically but mentally as well. The cane, once a symbol of limitation, became a tool of empowerment. Walking barefoot on natural textures. Helen Peterson's recovery journey had been nothing short of transformative. Over the months, she had gradually rebuilt her strength, regained her vitality, and found ways to nourish her body from the inside out. Yet, despite her physical progress, there was something missing. She longed for a practice that would not only strengthen her body, but also help her reconnect to herself on a deeper, more emotional level. What Helen didn't anticipate was how profound an impact something as simple as walking barefoot on natural textures could have on her physical and emotional well-being. A simple revelation, the power of walking barefoot. It all began one warm afternoon when Helen decided to take a walk outside. The weather was mild, the sun casting a golden glow over the world, and there was a sense of peace in the air. She'd heard about the benefits of walking barefoot on natural surfaces before, how it could ground you, help with balance, and activate muscles that often go unnoticed. Curious but skeptical, she decided to give it a try. At first, it seemed so trivial. After all, walking was something she did every day, often without much thought. But this was different. As soon as Helen stepped onto the grass with her bare feet, a rush of sensation coursed through her body. The coolness of the earth beneath her soles, the soft, forgiving texture of the grass, and the gentle warmth of the sand, it was as if she were awakening something dormant within her. Her mind felt clearer, and the tension that had long been lodged in her body seemed to melt away with each step. The feeling was both physical and emotional. It wasn't just about the muscles in her feet and legs. It was about something deeper, more instinctual. In that simple act of walking barefoot, Helen was reconnecting with the earth and with herself in ways that words couldn't fully express. There was something incredibly powerful about allowing her bare skin to touch the ground, something primitive, yet profoundly healing. Physical benefits, awakening dormant muscles. As Helen continued to walk barefoot, she began to notice subtle changes in her body. The first thing she observed was how different her posture felt. It wasn't just about standing taller, it was about realigning her body, engaging muscles that she had long ignored. The soles of her feet, often relegated to the background in her regular activities, were now the focal point of her movement. The muscles in her toes, arches, and calves began to awaken, engaging in ways that hadn't been necessary when she was protected by shoes. Barefoot walking forces the body to move in a more natural, fluid way. Without the cushioned sole of a shoe, Helen's feet had to adapt to the surfaces she was walking on, whether it was the softness of grass, the unevenness of dirt, or the coolness of sand. This adaptation process activated her stabilizing muscles, which were essential for maintaining balance and proper posture. The result was a noticeable improvement in her coordination and stability. Helen found that her balance, which had once felt shaky and uncertain, had become more solid. She could walk with greater confidence, her feet feeling more secure on the ground. The once dormant muscles in her feet and legs were now engaged and working, and Helen could feel the strength returning to areas of her body that had been neglected for years. Mental and emotional clarity. A moment of peace. It wasn't just her body that benefited from this barefoot practice. It was her mind as well. As Helen walked, she began to feel an unexpected sense of peace. The rhythm of her steps, the connection to the earth, and the quiet beauty of the natural world seemed to quiet the noise in her mind. It was as if she had stumbled upon a meditative practice without even realizing it. With each step, the stresses of her daily life seemed to fade into the background. The worries that had once weighed heavily on her shoulders became less significant. Walking barefoot on natural surfaces had a grounding effect on Helen, both physically and emotionally. It was as though the earth beneath her feet was absorbing her anxiety, stress, and fatigue, leaving her feeling lighter and more present. There was something deeply nourishing about this practice. Helen felt a sense of reconnection with the world around her, as though she were returning to a simpler, more authentic way of being. In a world that often demanded more from her, this small act of walking barefoot became a sanctuary, a quiet, sacred space where she could simply be. Grounding and emotional healing. Beyond the physical and mental benefits, walking barefoot also provided Helen with a deep sense of emotional healing. For much of her recovery, she had been focused on regaining her strength, on pushing through the fatigue and challenges that came with rebuilding her body. But walking barefoot offered something more. It gave her the opportunity to slow down, to reconnect with herself, and to find peace in the present moment. There was a spiritual component to this practice that Helen had not expected. Walking barefoot allowed her to feel truly grounded, as though her connection to the earth was providing a sense of stability and security. With each step, she felt more anchored in her body, more attuned to her surroundings, and more at ease in her own skin. It was as if the earth beneath her feet was supporting her, giving her the strength to keep moving forward. Helen had always been someone who found solace in nature, but this practice allowed her to deepen that connection in a way she had never experienced before. As she walked, she could hear the rustle of the leaves in the trees, feel the breeze on her skin, and smell the fresh scent of the earth. It was a sensory experience that heightened her awareness and brought her closer to the world around her. This connection to nature became a source of strength for Helen, helping her navigate the ups and downs of her recovery with greater ease and resilience. The mind-body connection. A profound shift. The deeper Helen ventured into this practice, the more she began to realize that walking barefoot was more than just a physical exercise. It was an invitation to reconnect with herself on a profound level. It was a way of honoring her body, of acknowledging the journey she had been on, and of embracing the healing process. By walking barefoot, she was reaffirming her commitment to her own well-being, reminding herself that she was worth the effort and care. Each step she took was a gentle reminder that healing wasn't just about the physical act of strengthening her muscles. It was about nurturing her entire being, mind, body, and spirit. As Helen continued to practice barefoot walking, she found herself becoming more attuned to her body's needs. She was no longer just going through the motions of recovery. She was fully present, fully engaged in the process of healing. The impact of barefoot walking extended beyond her physical and emotional state. It began to affect her entire outlook on life. She started to approach each day with greater intention, feeling more connected to the world around her and more appreciative of the small everyday moments. Walking barefoot became a ritual of self-care, a reminder to slow down and honor her body. It was a practice that reinforced her belief in the power of mindfulness, presence, and simplicity. The transformative power of barefoot walking. Helen Peterson's discovery of the benefits of walking barefoot on natural textures became a cornerstone of her recovery journey. What started as a simple curiosity evolved into a deeply transformative practice that nourished her body, mind, and spirit. The physical benefits, improved balance, strength, and posture, were undeniable, but it was the emotional and spiritual healing that truly set this habit apart. Through barefoot walking, Helen reconnected with herself, with nature, and with the profound power of simplicity. She learned that sometimes the most transformative practices are the ones that require the least effort, the ones that bring us back to the basics of who we are and what we need. For Helen, walking barefoot on grass, sand, and earth was not just a way to strengthen her body, it was a way to heal her soul. It was a reminder that sometimes the most powerful changes come from the smallest, most grounded actions. And for that, she was deeply grateful. As Helen's journey continued, barefoot walking became a constant in her routine, a practice she could always return to for physical rejuvenation, emotional clarity, and spiritual peace. It was a simple yet powerful tool for embracing life more fully, one step at a time.